What's going on, good people? It's Iceberg, and happy Labor Day to everyone out there. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I've been out in the garden all morning and all afternoon thus far, taking care of things out here. Wife's been in the garden as well. We've been putting in a lot of work this morning. I wanted to take some time out to bring you all a video. Now, if you're not familiar with my channel, I'm a backyard gardener here in North Carolina, Zone 7B. And what I'm trying to do is encourage you to plant your own garden as well. All you got to do is put a seed in some good soil, give it a little nurturing care and water, and watch life happen. So here on today's video, it's going to be a multi-purpose video. If you didn't catch my video wherever we talked about our fall seedling plantings, then it'll be up in the description and up above as well. There's a link that you can click on right now if you want to go check out that video before we get into what I'm talking about now. In that video, I went through planting seedlings. I went through my soil mixture. I went through the entire process of getting the seeds into the soil. We're going to do that again today, but I'm not going to be breaking down my soil mixture and all of that on this video. We're going to be planting some different seeds today than we planted the first time. And if you watch the first video, you'll see that there is a difference here. So let's go ahead and get started on planting the seeds. But really quickly, the second thing that we're going to be doing in this video, we're going to be thinning out some of our seedlings that we planted about 3 weeks ago and had in our greenhouse. I'll show you those in a little bit. And then the third thing we're going to be doing in this video, I told you it's multi-purpose. The third thing we're going to be doing is transplanting a couple of our seedlings actually into a larger container. So 3-part video is going to take you through the entire process of getting seeds into the soil, thinning out seedlings, and transplanting some seedlings into a larger container. So let's go ahead and get started. What are we planting today? Well, I have a variety of things here that I plan on planting today. These are all going to be things that I'm going to nurture in the greenhouse as far as seedlings are concerned, and then I'll be able to transplant them out here into the garden, into some of the space that you've seen and observed from our summer and spring garden. So these things are all fall and winter variety crops. Most of them are frost tolerant. Some of them I'm going to have to take a little bit more care of protecting them from frost, but I'm going to show you what we're doing here. So to start, let's see here. I'm going to start in these smaller containers. We have some larger containers for some of our larger seeds, like some of our peas. We're going to be doing some peas here. We're going to be doing some different beans. We got some bush beans, different bush beans, and yeah. So we'll do those in some of the larger containers. But for some of these smaller containers, let's start with our eggplant. So we have a nice eggplant out here. This is our first year growing eggplant. We actually planted it back with our spring and summer crops, and it's just now getting ready to start producing some eggplant on the vine for us. But we'll take it, right? It's our first year and we're learning. I did a little more research, and if I plant my eggplant now, I actually should probably be good to get some here in about 4 to 5 months, right? So we're going to do a few eggplant. I made me a list of how many I want to plant of each thing. So we're going to do 4 eggplant this time. And if I end up with all of them germinating, I can either transplant some to a different location, or I can give some of my seedlings away. But I always want to plant more seedlings than the plants that I expect to have. Out of these, I hope to at least get 2 eggplant that I can keep here. But if I get all 4 or get more, I will definitely either transplant them somewhere or give them to someone else. So I'm going to try 3 seeds here. I don't want to do too many seeds because I don't want to waste, and I don't want them all to come up, in the same spot, because then I'm just going to have to thin them out, and it'll be another way of waste. But I can't depend on just 1 seed to germinate either. So I'm going to try 3 seeds with these eggplants. The seeds are pretty small. These are eggplant seeds, and these are Black Beauty eggplant. I got these seeds a little while back, and we're going to see how they do. These are the same seeds that are growing that plant that we have over there, same exact seeds. Our germination rate was a little low last time. That's why we only have 1 plant out in our garden. But that could be because it wasn't exactly the right time to be planting it anyway. Maybe we were lucky to get that 1 that we have right now. But hopefully we'll get some more success on these. That's the goal, right? You got to try. I can guarantee that if you don't plant anything, you definitely won't have anything growing. What I'm trying to do is encourage you to just get you some seeds and plant you something. All I'm doing, I already had these filled with soil. I'm not going to waste your time in showing you me filling these. I'm just filling them with soil. They're probably about 3/4 of the way, maybe a little bit more. I take my finger, make a little hole in there, and then I just drop the seeds in, and I cover it back up with the loose soil. I'll come back later and water everything, but I don't want to compact stuff too much. I want the seeds to be able to germinate, get air so they don't rot, and then whenever they actually do start to germinate, have room for the roots to spread out. If the soil's too compacted, they're not going to be able to spread out. So we got our 4 eggplant. Move that over here, and I already have a label for it, so I'm going to tag it right here. Moving on, we're going to do some, let's see here, 442. All right, so we're going to do some bok choy cabbage. It's a different variety of cabbage. If you've heard of bok choy, that's what this is. Seeds are small and black, or really dark brown maybe. It's kind of a reddish brown, but they look black from a distance. So we're going to do 4 of those as well. None of these seeds of the stuff that we're planting right now like to be very deep in the soil. So I'm only really going down maybe 1/4 of an inch. Not very far at all. For the bok choy, I'm only going to do 2 seeds per hole. And same thing, just cover it up gently with the dirt that you pulled away whenever you were using your finger to make the hole. Use that same dirt that's kind of pushed to the side. You just push it in a little bit. It'll cover it up, and come back and water after the fact, and you'll be good to go. So I'm just dropping the seeds into my hand, letting them go into the hole there, and covering them up. It's really a simple process. It's taken very minimal effort, you see here. I set myself up with everything I needed before I started recording, and I'm just sitting here doing this. It's not taking much effort. I'm in a shaded area. Yeah, it's warm out here, but it's not too bad. Nothing that I can't tolerate. I've been out here all morning, like I said, so my body is kind of adjusted to being out here in the warmth anyways right now. All right, so we got our bok choy. We got 4 of those as well. Again, I'm hoping to get at least like 75% germination. If I get 3 out of 4, I feel like I'm doing good. If I get 4 out of 4, hey, we are doing something absolutely right. I don't think I have a label for this one yet, so I need to make one. Since I have room on this label, I'll go ahead and date it as well, 9/4. So that'll let me know when I planted all of this stuff, even though I have the video to back me up. And that's one good thing about me documenting this stuff. And if you have a garden, you can make videos for yourself. You can make private videos. You don't have to put them up on YouTube. You don't have to live stream anything like that, but you can use your phone or a camera. I'm using a GoPro right now, but you can use your phone and record yourself doing this stuff and keep your own video journal. There's a lot of journals that I use. I have spreadsheets on my computer. As you see, I write a lot of stuff in this handwritten notebook, and I have this video journal that I make whenever I'm sharing the information with you all. So again, there's multiple reasons why I do these videos. Yes, it is to encourage you all to hopefully plant a seed, grow a garden of your own, and help all of us eat better and reduce our grocery bill and our inflation. But it's also to keep a recording of stuff for myself so I can go back and look and see, what did I plant? What happened with that? What was my germination rate? Do I need to change anything up? All of those things are good. So keep yourself a video journal. If not, definitely keep yourself a written journal somewhere of what you're doing with your planting. All right, so we got 2 more slots left in this tray, and I'm going to do snow peas in these. These snow peas are seeds that are these harvested? Can't remember if these are ones that we harvested from snow peas that we had in our garden or not. But either way, they just look like peas, really. The seeds look like peas. So I'm gonna do one of each. Hopefully get good germination. I'm not gonna put more than one in each container. Again, small hole. This one, since the seed is a little bit larger, maybe go closer to an inch or 3/4 of an inch deep, as opposed to just 1/4 of an inch. The seed size can kind of tell you a lot of that. I'll show you a seed here in a second that is so thin that you really just want to put that kind of on the surface and barely cover it at all. Kind of like our lettuce seeds. All right, so that's our snow peas. I don't have a label for that either. All right. So I got my stuff labeled on this tray. We got 10 cells planted that quickly. How long have we been here? Only a few minutes, right? I've been just running my mouth most of the time, but if I wasn't talking, this would have been done in like a minute, right? Very little work. Only thing I have left to do now, as you see, only thing I have left to do is give them some water. I got them labeled. I can remember, I know how I have them labeled, but if you need to label each tray or label a different way that makes it easier for you, go right ahead. Also, what I'll notice is once these start to grow, they'll look very different. Eggplant looks very different than bok choy, looks very different than snow pea. So as these start to grow, you'll be able to tell the difference in them. We'll put this one to the side. And we're going to keep on going. So we got 10 more cells here, same size cells. Let me show you the parsley. This is Italian giant parsley. And as you see, the seeds are tiny. In this, there were 1,000 seeds when I first got this. I don't know how many are left. I'm not counting. But as you see, the seeds are very thin. So they don't need to be planted very deep. I'm going to do just 2 of these. And what I'm going to do is pour a little bit out of my hand and then just really kind of scatter them across the top of the soil and then just disturb the soil a little bit so they can mix down in there. So I'm just sprinkling some across the surface. I don't know what's going to germinate, but again, I have 1,000 seeds here. I maybe used 10 to 12. This is what I have left. So I'm just going to disturb the soil a little bit so the seeds get worked down in there just ever so slightly. And then I'll come back and water these in as well. Parsley. All right. Moving on. Let's see here. What else we got? So we got 8 more cells. I want to make sure I do this right so I don't run out of cells too soon. Six. All right, I'm going to go with this mustard. It's called Florida broadleaf mustard. Little small reddish brown seeds. And I'm going to do 6 cells of this because I definitely plan on giving away some of the mustard. And let's see here. The seeds are so small. What I'm going to do on these is actually, I'm going to make holes. So this is a small container. So So I'm going to make holes or like little divots in 2 spots. And then I'm going to put 2 seeds in each spot for these mustard because I want to make sure that I get good germination on these. And if they come out in both spots and I have spaced them properly, I may be able to get 2 plants or 2 seedlings out of this one tray. So we're going to try it. But I definitely want to make sure that I get good germination out of these so I at least get all 4 trays producing something for me. All right, let's cover those. And I'm going to go ahead and make the holes on all the rest of them before I pour out any more seeds. Again, I hope everyone is having a wonderful Labor Day, doing something that you enjoy, whatever that is. I've been out in my garden all day, so I'm definitely enjoying myself. But I hope you've done something that you enjoy. I know the kids are, if they're not already back in school, they're probably going back to school tomorrow. It'll be the first day for some tomorrow, and some are already a week or 2 in. I don't know how that makes you feel as a parent, whether you're happy or maybe it's your child's first year going to school and maybe you're not so ready for it. And it's a perfect opportunity for you, either by yourself to cover up for some of that lost time, or you can actually get your child involved in it and y'all can kind of do it along with the school year. Plant a garden, plant some seeds, get your child involved. It's a project that you can do at home with your child to make sure that you maintain your bonds that you may have a fear of losing when the child goes and starts forming their own social life. So, yeah, plant yourself a garden, get yourself some seeds, get yourself some good soil, a container. We talked about all of that in the previous video. Again, it's linked above. And plant yourself a garden. Do it either by yourself or do it with your child. Watch the process of life happen. And you both can learn as you're studying and researching what it is you need to do to continue to take care of your plants and working towards getting a harvest out of them. You can do it together. All right, that's our Florida broadleaf mustard. But yep, you can take this opportunity to plant a garden. Even if you start with only herbs, whatever you choose, it doesn't matter. Choose what it is that you and your family like. So it makes sense whenever you claim those harvests that you can just take it straight to your table. All right, so we got 2 more cells in this tray. And we're going to go with see, all these things I'm going to seed. So we'll go with this celery. Yeah, we'll go with this celery. We'll do 2 trays of celery. I've never grown celery before. These seeds, as you can see, very small. There's 1,500 seeds that came in this package. And that's probably still all 1,500 of them. I think I've only tried to grow celery maybe once. So there's probably still close to all 1,500 in there. As you can see, those seeds are very small, like almost like smaller than pepper grains, it almost looks like. So again, this is another one that it's not going to take much below the surface for it to get what it needs to germinate, or it probably won't germinate if it gets too deep below the surface. But yeah, these seeds are like almost nothing. It's almost like powder. So we'll see what we get as far as germination there. I pour the seeds on the top. I'm disturbing them a little bit. We'll water everything in. And we'll be on our way to growing some more. Let's label this one. All right, so in this tray we have parsley, we have celery, and we have mustard. Again, same as before. They're just in there. They're labeled. We're good to go. We'll water them when we put them in the greenhouse. I'm going to wait till I give them a place to water them so they're not dripping all over the place. So right there, we just did 20 cells of planting. I got more to do. A few more. We have larger cells for those. So let's see what we got here. Let's bring this tray up first. We got another tray here. These are a little bit larger containers than what we were just planting in. Again, these are all still same soil. Nothing's different about it. I got some more down here on the ground. So in these, we're going to look to do some of our beans and some of our peas. First, we'll go with the... Did I already do those? Snow peas, okay. We're going to do our sugar snap peas. We plan on doing 2 of these. I'll go ahead and just put them in these. Old labels because we definitely reuse our containers. Gardening does not have to be expensive. Once you get your seeds, once you get good soil, all that stuff, you reuse your soil and you plant other things behind things when you're reusing the same soil so the nutrient transfer is proper. Your containers, if you're doing container garden, which I highly recommend, you definitely reuse those. You don't tear them up. We're going to do 1 seed per hole on these. Again, they just look like peas. There's 60 that came in this package. These are sugar snap peas. And this is one that I may have to protect from frost, but we'll see because we're not extremely prone to frost here anyways. Yeah, we do get some frost times, but we can typically grow a lot of our stuff year round here. Of course, not the high summer crops, you know, your squash and zucchini. You can't grow that stuff year round, but other things that can tolerate a little bit of coolness, we can grow that type of stuff year round for the most part. Yes, I'm left-handed for those keeping track. All right. So we got some peas planted. We're going to do next, we're going to go to the... All right, so I'm doing 2 each of each one of these different beans. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my holes now because they're all going to go pretty much the same depth. And I'll show them to you as we're taking them out of the package. Now, don't think that wherever you are, if you're not in a climate that's like mine, again, I'm in North Carolina zone 7B. So that's what determines your kind of frost climates. If you're not in a climate like mine, then you may or may not be able to grow the same things that I'm attempting to grow. It may not even be worth it to you to attempt to grow certain things if you're not in the right climate. First, we're going to start with our black turtle bean. Never grown it before. Not even exactly sure what it is, but we're going to find out. some form of black bean. So we're going to see. And actually, I'm going to do the same thing on these beans that I did with our, what was it? It was one of the earlier things where I planted two separately in the same container. I'm going to do the same thing here with these beans because I want to get good germination out of them. I know that I'm going to end up, likely if I get all the great germination, then I'll have to end up probably thinning them out and losing one. But I do want to make sure that I get at least two good plants out of all of these containers. So I'm going to make 2 holes in each container, kind of I'm doing it at a diagonal so I can get them pretty much as far apart as I can in the container without them not being right against the edge. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. All right, so see if we can get the dirt to stay in place. So I don't know if you can see, but there's 2 holes in there and they're kind of at the angle. So, you know, it's like one here and one here. And that's what I'm going to use. So again, hopefully my goal is to get good germination out of each one of these containers. And I don't want to put all of my weight on one seed germinating properly. So I'm going to go with 2 in each one of these. And since I'm only doing 2 containers of each one of the beans anyways, I'm only going to use 4 seeds for each type of bean. So each one of these has at least 50 in it. So I think I can afford to use 4. All right. So we got our black turtle beans. So I'll start back here. Yeah, they're little black beans, as you can see. Next is going to be our, actually, let me label them because I might not remember the order. All right, black turtle bean. Again, never heard of it, never grown it before. We're about to find out. We're going to learn today. But if it's like any other bean, which I imagine it is, we should be just fine with the level of knowledge that we have about growing beans. Next, we're going to go to our Blue Lake bush bean. That's what they look like. They're kind of white. We'll do 4 of these as well. Hoping to get it the very least 2. And these seeds, these bean seeds are pretty large. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you give them a good, you know, probably 3/4 to an inch depth whenever you're planting them. They need a little bit more room to germinate and to sprout. Had to grab me some more tags here in a second. Let's see, maybe some in here. All right, Blue Lake bush bean. Yeah, I got tags right here. Next up, our bush Mexican pinto bean. And it looks just like a pinto bean. Same size, shape, color, everything. It's a pinto bean. See? It's just a pinto bean. So we got 4 of them. And remember, all of this is going to our greenhouse. If you don't have a greenhouse, you may need to start them indoors. a lot of these seeds do not want to be direct started in your garden soil outside. So just be aware of it. Know what you're buying, the variety and all of that stuff, and know what it's going to be necessary for you to do to take care of it. All right, so that's our bush Mexican pinto bean. And there's a reason why it's called a bush Mexican pinto bean. That bush part is important because beans grow typically in two ways, either as a bush or as a vine. And you need to know that whenever you go to place these things in your garden. You need to know whether it's going to be a bush that's going to take up a wide amount of space but not grow but so tall, or if it's going to be a vine that grows all over the place but it's really stringy, kind of like our cucumbers and things like that. So know what variety you're getting. Most of the beans that I have here are bush beans. So they're going to take up a compact amount of space as far as height is concerned, but they may grow wide, and they could grow up to 3 to 4 feet wide, depending on the variety and the type of bush. So again, know what you're growing. I've done research on all of these things, and again, we're just planting the seeds right now. When we go to transplant them into the garden, that's when that's going to really come into play, because that's going to determine what you want to put it near and how much space you want to give it to be able to spread out and grow if you want to get the maximum harvest for your seed. So we got those planted. Next up, our top crop bush bean. Again, don't know what this is. It's a dark bean, and I'm going to plant it and see what it produces. The beans are a tan color. They look almost like pinto beans, but they're much darker. If you get some of those dark pinto beans, sometimes these almost look like those, but they look like they're naturally supposed to be that color. So we'll see what these produce. All right, other tag. Top crop bush bean. Don't exactly know what it is, but we will learn together. And we got 2 more cells here. So out of the stuff that we have left, I'm going to put these onion in there. I have some sweet Spanish onion. These seeds are black. They're kind of small. There's 250 in this package, and I have not planted any of them. So let's try some of these, see how they do. We like onions. We like different types of onions, and we like trying different varieties of things. Again, this is all experimental. You don't ever expect 100% of your seeds to germinate, and you just don't know what may or may not grow in your area until you try it. And another thing to keep in mind is that depending on what you have available to you, you may have the availability to change the climate. So for example, my greenhouse, that changes the climate compared to everything else out here because the air doesn't go in there the same way. I have to control the watering in there, so it's not getting the outside rainwater unless that's what I give it. So you understand? Or if you're doing something indoors, your air conditioning in your house is going to keep the climate controlled to a certain level. So you may need to put a grow light over it to keep it warmer, or it may be just perfectly fine where you have it sitting in front of a window. All of those different things are options you have to extend your garden life growing season and to maybe grow some things that don't necessarily grow in your climate, but you can control the climate for it. All right, so that was our sweet Spanish onions. Where'd I put my marker? I haven't gone anywhere, so I know I couldn't have. There it is. Sweet Spanish onion. And again, the goal for me does not need to be the goal for you necessarily. Now, if you want it to be, then please come along for the journey. Let me know where I can help. Let me know where you can help me. There's been plenty of people watching one of my videos who have given me a suggestion that I've implemented, and it has made my garden a much more fruitful place. Our cantaloupe and honeydew melons out there, I got a tip this season, probably maybe a little over a month ago from somebody. I implemented what they said to me, and it has changed my whole cantaloupe and honeydew harvest night and day. So talk to people about your stuff. Reach out. If I can help, I'll be more than happy to help. I want to see your garden harvest. I want to see your garden thriving. All right. So we got 10, 20, 32 so far planted. I got 3 more seeds here that I plan to plant. Made a mess down here. All right. 3 more seeds I plan to plant. We're trying these out. Never grown dill before. The seeds are tiny, almost kind of like flaky. Look like they would fly away in the wind. There's about 400 seeds in this package. This is called bouquet dill. Again, I just pour them in my hand. Very small, kind of flaky seeds. Let's spread them out. It's all put together. And I'm just putting them kind of just gently below the surface. I'm not compacting it down at all, but I want them to get below the surface of the soil. We'll come back and water those in later as well with everything else. We'll put it all in the greenhouse before we water it because, again, I don't want to make a mess dripping stuff all over the place. Right. Our dill planted, and we have the last 2 things we have here. I'm actually going to wait to plant these because these I think I probably want to direct seed. So I have some red cord chantenary carrot. There's about 2,000 seeds in here. These are very small seeds. And then I have some Detroit dark red beets, about 200 seeds. Beet seeds are rough. They're rugged. They got like kind of spiny edges on them. I'm going to wait to plant those. So we're going to move on, and we're going to get into our seedling thinning. So let me clean some of this mess up. And let me go grab a seedling tray. All right, we have 2 very different seedlings growing here. Two very different seedling types growing here. So here we have our gourmet leaf lettuce and our romaine lettuce. As you can see, the gourmet leaf lettuce on this side, these trays are pretty full. The romaine lettuce, some of them are actually pretty full as well. These need to be thinned out. And then over here, we have our snowball cauliflower and our golden acre cabbage. And as you can see, they got pretty good germination as well. And some of them need to be thinned out. So we're going to start with our cabbage and cauliflower. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say it needs to be thinned out. So let's start with the one that's easier for you to see. All right. This is one of our snowball cauliflower. And as you can see, there's 7 different sprouts coming up out of this one container. Now, that's not such a problem, right? Only problem is, let's see, about 3 of them are coming up out of just about the same location right here. These 3 are all coming up from about the same location in the soil. That means that their roots are competing with each other for the nutrients and the space to grow there. Over here, we have 3 as well that are growing out of almost the same spot. It's almost like a hair follicle. When you have more than one hair coming out of the same place, sometimes it causes issues, hair bumps and different things like that. Same can kind of go on here, but instead it's just going to kill your plants. So what we want to do is, looking at them, we want to see which ones in the group are the strongest and which are the weakest. And the ones that are the weakest are the ones that we'll go in and we will snip them. We don't want to pull it because at this point in our time with our seedlings, the roots are really one of the most important parts of it. It's developing its root system, and its roots are what are feeding the rest of the plant. So if we start tugging, it's going to weaken some of the other roots because these roots are probably already starting to intertwine. But if we cut off at the surface, the top part, the roots down below will subside. The other roots for the plant that is still growing will overtake that space, and we'll get some nice strong seedlings. So as you see what this looks like now, I'm going to go in and snip some, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's thin. I have my sharp shears for my garden. I'm going to keep that one. It has more green on it. Get rid of this guy. And I want to keep the ones that look the strongest. You're looking for that third, make sure they have that third leaf, of course. And just which one looks the strongest out of the ones that you have. I'll get the one that's growing straight up. How about that? All right. So I've thinned this one out. And now we have 2. They are about 1 inch apart. And if they continue to grow and they're not dominating each other's space, I may be able to, whenever I go to transplant this, have 2 separate plants that I can place even farther apart if I can transplant them without damaging the roots. So that's what we have here. This is our snowball cauliflower. Same thing I would need to do for all of the rest of these. Looking at our golden acre cabbage, same concept. Here's our tray. There's a lot going on in there. But if you can't see it from here, but if you get to look down in there closer at where the different, stems are coming out of the soil, that's what you're paying attention to. So here, it looks like I can probably keep this and maybe have 3 possibly. So let's get the snipping and see what we end up with. All right. These are pretty strong too. That's the bad part. I hate taking out ones that seem strong. I got to do it in order for the other ones to be able to survive. Only the strong survive in this, and some will overpower others. So you got to make the tough choice of which one gets to stay and which one's got to go. these are coming out of like the exact same spot. So that's why you cannot just pull them, because these, I'm sure, are sharing the same roots. Trying to figure out which one is stronger. All right, you just laid down, so you got to go. All right, we'll do. It's hard to decide sometimes. I'm trying to look at which ones have the stronger looking leaves on them, the third leaf. But you don't have to take this much time, really. All of them were looking pretty good, so you just really go in, clean some out, give the rest of them space to grow. Yeah. And that's what all you can do, you know? That's all you can really do. Clean some out, give the rest of them space to grow. So this is our cabbage. We've gotten it down to 3. We'll see. Hopefully those grow stronger. You never know. One of those may just die off and end up with 2, or 2 may die and just end up with 1. But we're going to do our part to give them the room and space to grow. Another reason for thinning them out is that you want them to be able to get air through there. With a whole lot of that coverage and stuff, there gives opportunity for pests to get down there, mildew and mold to get down in there. You want them to be able to get the air through them. And as they get kind of blown around in the wind and stuff, that helps to strengthen. Now, I'm not going to put these fully outside of the greenhouse just yet, so they're only going to get so much wind. But we still need to make sure that they're getting the air that they need. This is, let me get one that has a little more going on. This is one of our romaine lettuce containers. As you can see, again, a lot going on in there. You can barely see the surface. And so I'm just going to try to snip out some of the smaller ones that are just now maybe starting to come up, while some of the other ones have bigger leaves on them. I want to keep the ones that have the bigger leaves and get rid of all of these little ones. So again, with our lettuce, the seeds are very small. So what we ended up doing was just kind of sprinkling them among the surface. And what happened is we got very good germination rate, which is a great thing. That's what you want. But it just causes you to have what feels like a little bit more waste when you have to get rid of so many seedlings, because they all decided to come up when you weren't expecting maybe everything to come up. So you just got to give it a haircut and pull out the stuff that is going to cause problems for the ones that you want to keep. Can't keep them all. I'm trying to clean it up so I can show it to you the after, and I'm trying to separate them some so you can see them, because I am still going to leave probably 3 in here. 2, 3. This one I can keep both of them. All right, so we got 4 left. We have 4 left in here, and I don't know. You may be able to see them. You may not be able to tell the difference, but that's what I'm going to leave in there. We'll see what continues to grow stronger and go from there before we transplant them. So that is our romaine lettuce. Looking at our gourmet leaf lettuce, same concept, but there's just a whole lot more going on with these. These germinated even better than the romaine. So I got to get down in here. Wow, I can't even tell how many are growing in here, but it's way too many. Way too many. Yeah, I can't even mess with this one right now. Let me go one that's a little bit thinner, because it'll take me a while on that one, and I don't want to keep you here for all of that. This one, same variety, just a little bit thinner. Let's clean this one up some. Everything, I guess I had my hand sideways or something on this, because everything germinated over on the side here. And there's a whole other side that nothing germinated. So I don't know. But there's one starting to come up here on the other side. So, but you got to make sure that they have their space in between them. That's really what I'm doing here, is giving them space. They need space to breathe. They need space for their roots to be able to spread out. Whenever I clip it from the surface, it's no longer going to be spreading its roots beneath the surface. So it'll allow room for the rest of them to do so. All right, so 1, 2, 3, and then there's a little one coming up that you can't really see. So I'm leaving 3 in here, and there's another one in there that's way over here on the other side, but you can't see it because it's covered up by some of the leaves. It may or may not take off, but 3 is good enough for me coming out of that one container. Those all get transplanted in the larger containers here. As they get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, they get transplanted into the larger containers when they get closer to the time to come outside. The lettuce and stuff, those will be frost tolerant, so I'm not worried about them whenever the frost comes. The cauliflower, cabbage, same there. All of these right here, these are our leafy greens. That's the whole reason we planted these. These are our cover crops and leafy greens. So we'll have stuff growing all throughout the fall and winter in our garden in the same space where you see stuff growing right now. We'll be able to eat and harvest off of this stuff as well. So that is the process of thinning out your plants, thinning out your seedlings. I got a lot more work to do on thinning these out. I'm going to bring one more tray over here of stuff to thin out to show you just a different variety of thinning out. And then I'm also going to bring our tray for our transplants, and we'll get into that as well. So let me make one more move, and we'll be right back. All right. Back. Here we have our Brussels sprouts and our Siberian kale. And again, these trays were planted about 3 weeks ago, and it's time to thin them out. We got good germination on every one of our cells, which is a great thing. Our Brussels sprouts. And in here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like we got 6 or 7. So I'm going to thin them out. Probably leave about 3. All right, what are we working with? That one there. I like that one. Make sure you pull your clippings. Don't leave them in there. All right. So we reduced it from, actually is, yeah, all right. I'll leave it like that. We reduced it from 7 to 3. Giving them space, giving them room. It may end up going down to 2 because 1 is a little bit closer than I like. Moving over to our Siberian kale, same concept. These are growing very well. Already showing nice 3rd and 4th leaves on most of them. And All right. Interesting. Some of the bigger ones are growing almost from the same spot. I got 1, 2, 3. I'm leaving 5 in here for now. This will probably thin out more, but they're all spaced out pretty decently right now, and they all seem to be doing okay. So I'm gonna let them go like that. And really, I just got to keep doing that for all of these trays. The trays that we just didn't finish over there, I just got to keep thinning them all out. I'll show them to you all in the greenhouse after we got them all thinned out and watered and everything in place in the greenhouse. I'll make sure I come back on the end and show that to you all with everything in its place. We're going to transition right now, though, and we're going to move into our transplanting phase. So let me move this. Bring this in. These are our small sugar pumpkins that we planted right along with everything else 3 weeks ago. And as you can see, these are growing pretty large already. They have extra vines on them. They're way beyond the 3rd, 4th leaf. They have extra vining going on. They almost have fruiting looking stuff going on, right? And they have roots growing out of the bottom. That lets you definitely know that it's time to transplant when you have your roots growing out of the bottom of your containers. And these are the larger containers even. So what we're going to do is show you how we're going to transplant one. And this one right here we were just messing with is a nice and healthy looking one to transplant. So let me stand up and move some things around. Actually, yeah, I don't need to stand. We'll just move this tray out of the way. I'll keep the one that we're working with. Keep this guy. This is the one we're going to transplant. And let's bring in our container. Again, reused soil, reused container. We mixed our soil up some, and we're just going to dig a hole large enough to take the amount of soil that I have in here. I'm going to plant it where the a little bit of the stem that is sticking out above the soil does go a little bit beneath the surface of the soil, the new soil. And then we're just going to let it do like that. These are pumpkins. So they're going to grow similar to our honeydew and our cantaloupe out there as a vine going out across the ground. So we're going to want to make sure that they have enough space to do so when we put them in their final place. So dig myself a nice hole that can take my transplant. Get it as close to the center as I can. So I'm only putting the one in here. I'm going to give them plenty of space to be on their own. So to remove my transplant from this container, I'm going to stick my fingers down in here and kind of use them to support both sides of the stem of my seedling. I'll turn the container upside down. That's just some of the rice hulls and stuff you see falling off the top. It's fine. I mixed them in my soil anyways. I squeeze the container around the sides, just trying to loosen the soil so it will fall out into my hand as such. I want to be careful with my roots that pull through. I'm trying to pull them through as well rather than breaking them off. If they break, it's not the end of the world, but I want to try to maintain as many of the roots as possible. Turn my seedling over. I'm just firming it down so that the soil that came with the seedling stays kind of compacted together around my root ball. And then I'm just going to push the soil that was in the container that I moved whenever I made the hole, covering the seedling, covering the root ball that I just transplanted in there, and a little bit up around the stalk of the seedling. And the way that I have pushed this dirt up here, this soil up here, it causes almost a little bit of a mound up where the stalk is, and then it goes away from it. So whenever I water, the water will run away from the center. It'll go down in the soil, but it'll run away rather than puddling right where my root and my stem are. I don't want it to puddle where my root and stem are. And this is what we get. So it's that simple, transplanting. It's that simple. You do that, put it in place, water it. That's the end of the story. You water it, you let Mother Nature and that sun get a hold of it. Make sure that you check it for pests. Learn what pests like to inhabit your plants and learn some natural remedies. There's a lot that you can do with vinegar, water, dish soap, neem oil, little natural cinnamon, peroxide, all of these things. Learn how to properly dilute them and use them so you don't burn up your plants. Learn what plants can handle what things. But there's a lot of natural remedies that you have that you can take care of your garden with just mixing those things with some water. Learn the proper dilution, learn what you need for your plant, learn what gets rid of what pests. Just take some action. That's all I'm asking you to do. Plant a seed in some good soil. Come along for the journey with me. Let me know how your gardens are going. And please get in the comment section, reach out, ask questions if you have them. Give suggestions because I love taking those suggestions and implementing them in my garden and seeing more fruitful harvest. Hopefully, you're going to get the same out of your garden. So until next time, good people, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Make sure you're taking care of each other. Please get a seed, get a container, plant that seed in the soil, and then go on this life-growing journey with you and your kids if you do have children. All right, good people. Until next time, this is Iceberg. I hope you all have a wonderful Labor Day. I hopefully this video meets you enjoying life and doing all of the wonderful things that you enjoy doing. I enjoy being out here in the beauty of nature and enjoying my garden, and I want you to do the same. What's going on, good people? In my effort to get you out of there on the video, I forgot to show you the stuff in the greenhouse thinned out. So as you see here, we have, this is the, I got the stuff turned around so I can't see the fronts of it. But as you can see, the stuff is thinned out now. Here, down that row, we've thinned those out as well. That's our turnips on that side. Flipping over, we thinned out our lettuce on both sides there a little bit. Here, can't remember what we got here. And then here we have our Brussels sprouts and our kale. So we got everything thinned out, as you can see. There's not as many of the seedlings growing in each one of the trays. Some of them may need a little bit more thinning here and a little bit later as they grow a little bit stronger, but I'm gonna let them go like this, see what happens. Up on the top, we have our new seedling trays planted, all there, and then there's a couple more down on the floor. So, as you can see, our greenhouse is getting full. We have stuff growing on 2 of the different layers now. Nothing on the bottom right now because the bottom doesn't get very much sun. We're mainly using that for storage right now, and we'll eventually put some things down there as the weather changes. But right now, our top 2 shelves we're using mainly for growing our seedlings, and then we have some stuff down on the floor as well. Of course, I'll take you along for the journey. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and go check out the other videos if you need some more information on how we got to this point in our journey. Till next time, good people, this is Iceberg. Salute.